Okay. Next, just checking. Next question. It has to do with your promotional strategies. Your pitch and your plan. How do you get your books known? How do you share with people and network and let people know who you are and what you have to provide for the world in the form of your books and your stories? And we're gonna start with Lady.
Oh, I'm a walking brand. I just put it out there. I'm very active on social media. I use it for what it's worth. I talk about a lot of different things. I also have a podcast coming, which is called Dear Sis. So it's for women, all women, and I just go for it. And I also have a children's book coming out next year. So I'm really excited about that. But I'm a walking brand.
Have you started letting people know about
I
that
will
too?
at the end of this month.
Okay.
The end of this month.
Okay.
I will. I definitely will. And it's called Kiss the Boys.
Yep. Okay.
Well, you've met JP and JL, and those ladies really got it together. And I am not them. Not by a long shot. William has a nice large board with a big blow up of his book. I'm not him. Unfortunately, or fortunately, because this is kind of my personal project, I haven't really been out there pimping my stuff. But I think at some point relatively soon, probably in 2019, because I do have a bunch of other irons in the fire with my professional life, that those things will change. My problem is probably commitment. So I have to use the advertising tools that have always been at my disposal. Like I am active, engaged with my clients and folks on Facebook. So it's like you can find me. You just don't necessarily know that I wrote something because you don't know me from that perspective. So I have to find a way to up my game as far as brand. But I also just don't want to be one brand because I'm not. I'm a little bit too much of a chameleon in that respect. I mean, a bunch of different things to different people depending on what your needs in your life are. So for me, I think I really just, I'm definitely, I'm drinking up everything
that's good.
I just got to find my own crack dealer, basically. Because that would make things so much easier. And you kind of almost, you do have to look at everything like a business. I ran a day spa for 13 years, so I'm no stranger to business and brand. However, the brand is now me. When I ran a day spa, this was my brand, and I had a responsibility to 12 other people to keep them in work, paid, and so that allowed me to decentralize all of that. If I have to carry all that load myself, I'm like, oh my God, I got a Twitter, it's 12 o'clock, I promised I would put that, and I don't want to be that person. I'm actually incapable of being that person. So, and I don't want to promise something I can't deliver. So I will sporadically Facebook, I will sporadically put something out there. This weekend I am committed to putting out a hypnotherapy file for public, use that deals with fear and anxiety, because I can't see all these people. So I will put it out there. Will I mention I got a book? Hell no, because that's a separate part. But in venues like this, I do need to look more like JL. I need to have like all that out there. I need to make, when I do present myself in this format, I need to be all in. So I'm gonna work on that.
Staples.
Yeah, no, exactly. Vistaprint. We had fabulous conversation, and I was like, man, you really got it together. She's got the drapes and the tent even matched, and I'm like, ooh.
Or a website,
pretty lean down there. Yeah, website, again, like integrating the website for me is going to be harder because there are 3 different things that I do professionally, and then this whole writer thing's like over here.
You need a sidebar that you can market your books and any other types of things.
Yeah, that's
soaps.
always there.
Yeah, and I just
soaps and everything.
and I don't want it to look
Just
like
need a
she's
sidebar.
horrific. That's fine, but it does have to look professional. So I'm still working on it. All suggestions are welcome. Please find me afterwards.
I wanted to say something. I just wanted to piggyback, not to take up too much time, but all that you have going and all that energy and everything that you do on your other side if you say, listen, to your clients or whatever, not that you're trying to woo them to buy your book, but if you say to them, listen, I'm an author, you went from 0 to 20 like that, like literally, without doing anything, because they trust you. Number one, you're rubbing them, you're in their mind, they're like, I like her, she's cool. What are you selling? Can you sell me water? Because I'm a whale and I'll get whatever you're buying.
I think there might be an ethical conflict here somewhere.
To use that to your advantage. Like, don't take that lightly.
I don't, and you do bring up a very, very good point. You're right on the money when it comes to, it has value.
Mm-hmm.
Because I work in bodies and minds, I have to be very careful about influence.
It's subtle.
So it's not like, it's almost, I don't want to say it's an ethical conflict, because it's not. It is a separate part. And I do have my books in my office, and people are like, oh, they have the same last name as you. I said, isn't that coincidence?
Yes.
When they come and look at the picture. What about that guy on Saturday Night Live who does the subliminal?
Yeah, exactly. Right, exactly.
Buy me one.
Exactly. And if you listen to the hypnotherapy thing that I'm putting out on Facebook this weekend, there's none of that in there at all. It truly is all about fear and anxiety. But you have, like, for me, I just have to make sure that I have a comfort level with that. Because honestly, I know folks who are all out there, and when I'm in the right venue, I am all out there. I'm always a massage therapist. It doesn't matter where I am. I can pretty much find out and work massage into any conversation inside of like 30 seconds, which my husband's like, how do you do that? We're talking about politics. I'm like, no, it's possible. But I just have to have the same mindset. So I just need to take the boundaries off. That's what I need to do.
Yeah. I'm insecure. I'm not a salesperson. I'm not going to get in your face and say, I have something that you need. So throwing it out there is sort of just a quick mention. And if I get a response, then I'll give a little more information. But I'm still figuring that out. But what I do make light of is that when I'm doing a storytelling program, especially in a library where there's other books, in a library situation, I'm telling stories, I will let the audience know, and I will have my literature and my books, at least one copy, or the cards for them there. So when I'm storytelling, I'm promoting my books. When I have a book event, obviously I'm there to sell the books. I will also mention that I'm a professional storyteller. So, and they're intertwined because the nature of stories and the nature of stories in print is not that far apart. And the writers groups, I'll have the flyers for that. So that's another angle. And that I do help other people with their writing if they ask for it. And the nature theme is in all my books, and obviously setting out the table display and everything touches upon that. So the branding is, who are you as a person, and what do you gravitate? What is magnetically attracted to you? And make sure that everybody knows that you're not just the person, you're everything else that you are outwardly as well. So when I was a kid, yellow and green were not my favorite colors. But nowadays, all the nature stuff and the earth science and everything, I love green. And I'm not talking about money, so don't think of it that way. It's just the earth, the trees, the seasons. I'm just much more in tune with having worked with Scotland Run Park and the nature programs over there, that everything is connected. Whether it's storytelling, whether it's your story, whether it's characters, whether it's conflict. We're all human. We all have to deal with that in our own way, with our lives, with our work, with our families, with our relationships. So a good story well told should be relevant and relate to the reader, even if it's science fiction. Because it's not about the spaceships and the technology. It's about the conflicts and the characters. So, yeah.
If you have like a non-human, like you said that you have like shapeshifters,
Right, exactly.
How do you add humanity to something that isn't particularly human? Because that's a challenge I've always had with my writing, talking about like reptiles and insects.
Right. Well, physically, if the character does not seem human, there must be something in the personality, the character of that alien enough humanity is there for the human reader to relate. And I think I heard that from Gene Roddenberry way back, was that even the aliens had to be human in their own way in order for them to be able to interact with the humans in the storyline, but also to relate to the reader or the watcher in that case, so that they were sympathetic characters, even if they had extra legs and extra eyes and horns or turtle face.
Enemy
Yeah.
Mine.
Yes. Oh, it's a
Enemy
great
Mine.
movie.
That
yeah.
was where the
Yeah.
alien was so alien, yet you could identify with
Right.
it.
Because they had things that were important to them. See,
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
you put a
And the
cultural
plot-
context.
Exactly.
And
cultural.
and the
What is the
plot,
name of it?
Enemy Mine.
Oh, Enemy Mine, yeah.
Yeah.
But like the plot has to make them sympathetic, even if they're not.
Yes.
The situation that they're in, they're
Mhm.
oppressed.
Yeah.
That makes a big
Yeah.
difference. So even though they have no human
Right.
that you can relate to,
Yeah.
basically, it's still a human condition.
Yeah.
So, how do you promote a character like that when you're writing it?
I never do. But I'm not promoting. I'm very bad at it.
Well, between the interaction between the characters, obviously, everybody is going to either agree with you on something, disagree with you on the other, whether you're human or not human. So, playing up the conflict of the similarities and the differences makes the alien just as relatable as your next door neighbor who happens not to agree with you politically or has a different job description or whatever. So we are more alike than we are unalike, and if you contrast and compare those, I think the storyline can progress. We all have families, we all care for our loved ones, we all have jobs of some type, so there are definitely commonalities that we can work into even with characters who outwardly may not seem like us.